my name is Lauren Mackenzie. So I graduated from Aberdeen University in 2020. So of course, during the pandemic lockdown, didn't get a graduation. So
Oh,
I was one of them. Um, so yeah, and currently I am working as a personal independence payment. So for the purpose of ease as well, I'll just abbreviate that to PIP. So I'm currently working as a PIP case manager. So essentially, I get assigned cases from claimants that are uh, applying for PIP, and I assess and analyse their evidence and make a decision on whether to allow or disallow their claims. So it's quite a hard, it can be quite hard in terms of, the disallowed claims and stuff.
mm,
So it can be quite challenging, but also very rewarding. So
mm.
yeah, so I've been there for just over 2 years. And yeah, I'm very happy.
Interesting. Thank you so much. And why did you decide to study at the University of Aberdeen, and why particularly history and politics?
Yeah, so to be honest, so I went to college after school. So that was between 2015 and 2016. And in total honesty, I didn't have as many Hireds when I left school. I had three Bs, and then I left college with an A in my higher national certificate. So with that, I applied for maybe four or five universities, and two of which I had conditional offers to were Stirling or Aberdeen. So I didn't really have much kind of much choice, I suppose. So I only had, two conditional offers. But I mean, still really, really, really good offers. I was still very, of course, very happy, very grateful to, um, have those offers and opportunities, of course. But then it was a situation of deciding between Stirling or Aberdeen. I'd been to Stirling before, my sister, she went to Stirling, and initially I kind of, I sort of thought, well, Stirling, like it's quite close to home. My sister's there, I've got my comforts,
Yeah.
but I'd never seen Aberdeen. I'd never seen Aberdeen before, so I couldn't really make a decision without
Mm.
seeing Aberdeen. Oh my gosh. When I first saw it, we got a private tour, me and my dad. Because yeah, it was like myself and a bunch
Mhm.
of others who had offers. And as soon as I saw it, it was absolutely gorgeous. And I kind of thought, oh my goodness, like this is it. Like this really excites me, and yeah, and I think it is also, I don't know where it is in terms of the rankings now, but back then I know it was better than Sterling for history. So I kind of thought, yeah, like I I have to go to Aberdeen, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, then kind of the rest is history.
Very interesting. You later completed a master's in international politics, more specifically in critical geopolitics at Newcastle University. What drew you to that particular focus, and how has it influenced your worldview?
So to be totally honest, it was I when I was deciding on my master's, this was during the pandemic. So I was, personally kind of at that point where, I was just unsure as to what to do and, where I was kind of going, if you like. Like it was quite a challenging time for me personally, just, well, yeah, personally, and also, yeah, in terms of like my career and, but yeah, of course, opted for a master's, of course, yeah, because the pandemic was still, was still about, and yeah, because of all the restrictions. So specifically, that's why I went for the master's. But with critical geopolitics specifically, the reason I chose that was, well, it wasn't offered, I believe, in Scotland. So, and it sounded really interesting.
Hmm.
So hence the move to Newcastle. And it was quite close to home. So, so for personal reasons such as that, because Newcastle and where I'm from, yeah, they're only a couple hours away. So, so for personal reasons, but with critical geopolitics, I kind of decided on that because when I was at uni, I found the subjects such as, globalization, poverty, um, and international relations theory, of course, super, super interesting. So I really wanted to get more of an in-depth studies, I really wanted a more in-depth study on, like issues surrounding like kind of national security and insecurity, conflict, tension, and just why states react the way they do, that kind of thing. So I felt like geopolitics really, really covered that because it's all about like borders and insecurity. So yeah, really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And you've worked in a range of roles from tour guiding and customer service to civil services positions at the Ministry of Justice, HMRC, and now the Department of Work and Pensions. What have the key milestones been in your career so far?
The key milestones, for me, to be totally honest, I know this maybe sounds quite obvious, but it's true, I would honestly say just getting my offer into the civil service. It's where I really, really wanted to be. Um, so, the previous roles that I'd done, so yes, I worked with Americans Close, and yeah, just more kind of retail type of roles, like seasonal work. And yeah, they definitely shaped, my or rather not yeah, I suppose they did massively contribute to my desire, I suppose, to work in, the public sector because I just, I care about people, And so one kind of thing, and this is also a piece of advice to students, and this is something that I really kind of think, and I think it really helps when you're kind of deciding on your career, if you like. But for me, I asked the question of, I know, of course, the money, like the money is important, of course, we all need money, of course, and the salary is important. But for me, I kind of thought, what am I really, really, truly motivated by? Is that earning a lot of money, profit, etc., or am I more motivated to serving, customers and the public, and due to my roles working in customer service, such as Americans Close, for example, it really contributed to where I am now.
Yeah. Interesting. And are there particular policy areas or issues you're especially passionate about addressing within the civil service?
Yeah, I I would say because this is the area of work,
Mm.
or the line of work that I'm currently in. I'm currently in health and disability decision making. So due to that, yeah, I would of course naturally say because I've got experience in this area, I would say kind of like more social policy and disability related policy. But in total honesty, I'm still trying to build up more experience because policy, would be a line of work down the line that I'm really aspiring to, or I'm really hoping to achieve. But I'm not quite there yet myself. So I'm still trying to figure it out really. But naturally, yeah, I would say because I've got experience in it from the past couple of years, I would say like health and disability, but I've always been really interested in, like foreign policy, from, of course, my master's, my undergrad. So foreign policy is super, interesting, but of course, I'm still needing to get some more experience.
Interesting. And the next question is, do you see yourself continuing in government, or are there any other sectors where you'd like to apply your skills and interests in the future?
Yeah, as it stands just now, I'm wanting to stay in government.
Mm.
I'm very, very happy. There's so many brilliant benefits as well working in government. So I know, so like role and job aside, of course, like you need job satisfaction. That's imperative, of course. But on a personal note, you get really good benefits. Like the government, they have to care for their staff.
Yeah.
Because they really have to care for the staff. So you get really good benefits, and I feel like personally, those are benefits that I cannot give up. So you get and this is things that students might not have ever heard of. So you get stuff like what's called flexi time. So if you work a bit longer each day, your flex builds up. So like even today, for instance, I took a flexi day because you build up a bunch of or enough hours to take, and yesterday as well, and just to travel back up to Scotland. So there's brilliant benefits like that. They really, really care for the staff. But also, once you get your foot in the door, and that was my main motivation, is just, get your foot in the door and then, take it from there. But when you're in government, you really, or there really is just so many options, absolutely tons of options. Um, so, because even for myself right now, for example, I've been in my role for 2 years, so I'm kind of ready and looking for a sort of change, if you like. And I know that there's so many kind of different options and things that I can get involved in, So so no kind of day or 2 days are ever the same. There's so much variety. So yeah, I'd always encourage, if anyone's considering working for the civil service, go for it.
And about getting your foot into the door, like what advice do you have for students to get into a career in public sector and civil service?
What advice? Yeah, so the only way I can approach this is kind of thinking back to myself when I was in, my mid third year, and then kind of all of fourth year, if you like. Um, my main piece of advice would be network, like really like so get LinkedIn and really just network. Because I first downloaded, and briefly started using LinkedIn when I think start of fourth year, but I didn't properly use it until I was maybe at the end of fourth year, or maybe kind of in my master's. I can't quite remember, but I would honestly just recommend just use LinkedIn, just connect with as many people as you can, and just network. Don't be afraid to ask, reach out and ask people questions, and that's one thing I was even going to say to myself. Even if people wanted to reach out to me just for anything, I'd be more than happy to help. Just networking. And another piece of advice is I know this sounds quite specific, but I've really kind of benefited from this myself because I'm trying to like apply for a promotion, and just I would recommend to students that are considering civil service and public sector in general, but this is more kind of tailored to civil service because he is civil servant himself. But I would recommend, if people have a LinkedIn, to look up this person called Nathan White,
Mm-hmm.
because he really provides a lot of good tips for the civil service recruitment. Because one thing about the civil service is once you're in, you're in. That's you've got your foot in the door, but it's getting in. It's getting in. You have to go through quite a lot of I mean, this might not be the case, but for myself personally, I had to go through a lot of rejection when it comes to the civil service. You have to just accept, like, and this was me because I just knew, like, I want to be in the civil service. This is me, like, and also my mum, she was a civil servant for Scotland, so for Scottish government, of course, and I knew it was just where I wanted to be, So when it comes to applying, it's just kind of accepting and realizing you're in it for the long haul. It might take you 6 months, it could take you a year to get in, but once you're in, you're in. But it's just, it's about getting comfortable with rejection. I cannot emphasize that enough. it's yeah, it takes time, but it's so worth it. But yeah, if anyone's trying, they will get there. But definitely look into Nathan White, because he provides a lot of good tips.
That's very good advice. Are there any books or podcasts that have deeply influenced your personal or professional development that you would like to share with students?
Yeah, so I am quite a book nerd, so I do go to a book club. Um, And yeah, so I am a massive book nerd, so I could probably end up rambling and rambling. But one that I would actually recommend, because when I was looking at this specific question, I was just it was yeah I was really just trying to think of one particular book because I've read quite a lot recently, but um, one that I did really enjoy and I found it really profound. And just very philosophical. It was sorry, I mean it is South Korean, so my pronunciations might not be the best, but it's called Welcome to the Hunam Dong Bookshop. So that was one of our book club books. So initially I kind of thought, okay, like it'll be a nice book, I'm sure, but I was kind of expecting it to be quite cliche, like, she um fell out with her parents and then opened this this bookshop. I know she's kind of found herself, like still a lovely book, but that's kind of that's kind of initially what I was thinking. But it was so much more than that. It was really kind of about just the broad questions, like what does it mean to be happy, like what is life.
Hmm.
Just those really kind of, yeah. So it was really, really philosophical because it was all kind of about like, the main character's life and her, and the goings on in the bookshop, of course. But it was really focused as well on, the regular customers that come into the bookshop and their own personal and professional growth. So for this, in terms of career, like what do I want to do? Like where am I going? Like just struggling in terms of, yeah, like where they're going in life. So I really, really enjoyed that one, especially for students that are just, what am I doing? Like, where am I going? So it's a really, really, genuinely, really nice book. And it's actually quite, yeah, like just quite reassuring. Because I suppose with myself, like in my current job, I'm looking for that next chapter kind of in my life. So I also found it quite reassuring and really comforting, but also just, I mean, I love historical fiction. I'm a massive history nerd, so and on a more personal note, I'd say I've started reading the Shard Lake series. So for people that might not know, that's um so it's not no, it's all fictitious basically, but it's based around the religious Reformation, so Henry VIII, but it focuses on a detective working for Cromwell, and he has to basically go out and like solve these crimes. Really, I've only read the first book, The Solution, but so good. Really enjoyed that. And Wayward by Amelia Hart. I mean, these are more just on a personal note, I suppose, But yeah, these are books that I loved. So Wayward by Amelia Hart, and The Last Witch of Scotland. There's a very historical theme, I know. But yeah, those are books that I definitely recommend.
Thank you so much. And the next question is, what are some of your favorite memories from Aberdeen? Maybe from like social life of it. Like what did you like?
Favorite memory? Yeah. Um, I would say when I was social secretary for the History Society, so I did that for I did it kind of on and off. I did it for I think I started it in third year. Yeah, about a year and a half. But I just found that so much fun. Like, I mean, I am a real planner, so that was me.
Hmm.
Events, meetups, nights out, of course. So I really, really enjoyed that. And of course, yeah, like it gave me a lot of, really important and also just really good transferable skills, in terms of balancing my deadlines, with society commitments. So I really, really enjoyed that. Like I look back on that time with really fond memories. Um, and yeah, I suppose even just like I suppose it was just because it was just a bit of fun. I don't, but yeah, like even like the late night trips to the library, like just like the kind of all-nighters, and yeah, just the nights out at Siberia, like that was probably my favorite bar to go to in Aberdeen. Uh, I mean, there's so many. I mean, I visited Braemar as well. So if anyone is keen on going there, I think it's maybe like a couple hours to get there, like just the one way. So it's quite a long trip. But if anyone's contemplating it, highly recommend. There's just so many. But yeah, I look back on my time at Aberdeen with such lovely memories. I had such a good time.
Thank you. And the last question is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Uh, um, hmm, I would say start looking at civil service applications sooner
Mhm.
because you don't know how long it's gonna take. It took me ages. Even if you don't like necessarily apply for a role, but just really get yourself familiar. And yeah, of course, I meant to mention this earlier as well. Actually, I cannot emphasize and stress this enough. Download success profiles and the behavior criteria. That is crucial for anyone that's wanting to apply for a role in civil service. And yeah, of course, using the STAR technique. But I feel like that's not even just civil service, or that's not primarily just civil service. That can be, I think, for any kind of role, just how you approach and structure your application, like the STAR format. It's just a bunch of like really small things. But for me, I'd just say downloading the success profiles in plenty of time, and just even if you don't have a role that you're applying for, or even if you're not going to start applying, but just get yourself familiar with it. Just have a look, and then really just on a Word document or on a piece of paper, whatever's easier, just really write down your main kind of experiences and your main kind of personal attributes, because you have to be able to like
Mhm.
sell yourself. But with the civil service and and civil service recruitment specifically, um, it's very, very evidence based. Like you need evidence, and it's trying to like quantify the evidence, if you like.
Mhm.
So you just need solid kind of evidence. Like for instance, for one of my behavior responses for an application, it was basically around or like along the lines of just when I was social secretary, society membership for the society declined by X%. Include a number. And then when you get to the result part of that response, you can then actually say, because of my efforts, all because of what I did, my contribution, it has to be I, no we. We is a banned word in civil service applications. It's just I. Or you can say myself and my team, but yeah, that's you cannot say we. They'll score you down. But yeah, when it comes to the evidence, it's just trying to make sure the evidence is quantifiable. Approach the response with a number. And like for instance, yeah, as I mentioned, yeah, society membership declined by X%, maybe 10%, for instance, and then talk about what you did, how you did it, why you did it, the impact, then the result. And then the result is due to my efforts, society membership then grew by 20% because they need or they really look for numbers. They need quantifiable evidence to show what had actually changed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But of course, like as I mentioned, if anyone had any questions or if they were considering looking at the civil service, or they were, struggling with their behaviors, or, with rejection, of course, I
Mhm.
mean, it does happen. People are more than welcome to reach out. and I'll help as best as I can. But that's the best piece of advice that, to be honest, a current colleague
Yeah.
gave me. And when he mentioned that to me, I kind of went, "Oh, that's that's a light bulb moment." So it's just, yeah, you just need evidence. But that's, yeah, I suppose just for them, for students to just really kind of write down, like, okay, what are my main achievements? What are even times where when things went wrong, when I made a decision that wasn't, well, yeah, when I made a mistake, because with civil service, they like reflection. They like you learning from things. It doesn't have to all be good, 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 like, positive, yeah. They like it when you've made mistakes because they want to show how you recognize that and what you're going to do next, I suppose. And just, yeah. So it doesn't always just have to be good evidence, or yeah, it doesn't always have to be like when things went well, but just, yeah. It's all about reflection.